Welcome everybody to episode 19 of the latest. Exciting, Brad. We had to skip 2 weeks. When you do that in AI time now, I think that lots of things happen, right?
Yeah.
So we have some great things to share this week, and I think even with the scope and how fast we're going, it's like, are we going to go back 2 weeks? I don't think anything substantial happened then, but some really great things. And Brad, you were at the was it the Conversational AI conference?
Yeah, it was the Confex Conversational AI Conference. Yeah, I was the host. That's why we
Wow.
didn't do an episode last week because I was hosting a conference on conversational AI, which means chatbots. And so these are the programmers and executives who instill a chatbot with AI. Think like you sign on to your bank and there's a chatbot there, or there's telemedicine. So anytime you're using a healthcare provider over the internet, and now there's a chatbot there. It was very interesting. It was a 360 view of the way that people approach the technical aspects. How does the computer parts work? How do people approach the problem solving of the customer? How do people approach the psychology of it? And by that, I mean, the one interesting takeaway was that the gentleman discovered by changing the language from like I to we, the experience was better for people. So he said good was just like welcome to the chatbot. And then better was like welcome to the chatbot. My name is Max. And better still was like welcome to the chatbot. My name is Max. How can I help you? But the actual better part was how can we help you? Because people felt like if they just had access to a chatbot, it wasn't as good as the we. The we meant you might get a person if you ask. And they were saying these are the nuances that make a difference. That person was giving the example of telemedicine, and they said that the stakes are high. These are people who have an urgent healthcare need, and so you have to get it right. So it was a very interesting experience to participate in. The Google guy was there showing off something that you're going to show off, which is a new feature from Notebook LM. He was also showing off Project Astra and Project Mariner, which I think at the very start of the latest, whatever it is, 20 weeks ago, we talked about Project Astra and Project Mariner. These are the two look-through products from Google. Look through your phone. The AI agent uses the camera in real time, and it can remember where things are on the desk. It can give you opinions and advice. The video from Google showed a whiteboard with a computer science problem in written English, and they just circled a piece in red, and it said, "Oh, here's how you fix that problem." It was really, really exceptional. And the other one was using your computer software. And I think those are coming very soon from Google. But what was cool that maybe you can kick off, or I can kick off and you can come to next, is that Notebook LM, Google's free to use chatbot plus library, has a new feature called sources. And I think you can no, I didn't say that right. It's not a new feature called sources. It's in the sources tab. I'm saying that like this, David, because you've used it and I haven't. I've just read about it. It's in the sources tab, and it is discover. And what you can do is use the internet to discover the sources that you didn't know you needed. It's pretty cool. Can we show that? Are you still putting our
Yeah.
tags onto LinkedIn, or
No,
can
that's
you?
all right. I think LinkedIn might be having an issue now. But first of
Yeah.
all, Brad, did you want to welcome our our other host? Because this is, you talked about the latest. It kind of just, a message just happened an hour ago where we are welcoming our friend Otter. Do we call them?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So yesterday on all of my meetings, my Otter AI assistant was in the meeting, and none of the meetings had a visual like a visualization of the recording. Now, just from yesterday to today, we found this out as we opened up our meeting today that it's an interactive AI inside the meeting. So if we say the trigger word, you're going to hear this AI agent talk. So we're going to do it right now. We're going to say, "Hey, Otter."
Hi, how can I assist you today?
Otter, we're live streaming to YouTube on April April 3rd, 2025. Tell the live stream and the viewing audience what you are and what you can do. Hey, Otter. Tell the live stream. Hey, Otter. Tell the audience what you can do.
I can record meetings, generate transcripts, create summaries, schedule meetings, draft emails, assign tasks, and more. Let me know how I can assist.
So you're in the meeting the entire time and listening, and you can interact with us? Well, I think we have to trigger it with the keyword, hey, Otter.
Hi, Brad. How can I assist you today?
Help me understand. You're in the meeting the whole time, and you can answer questions about the meeting live?
Okay.
Well, okay. Well, it's a new feature. We'll have to figure out what it does.
For sure. And I
But
think,
for anyone that has Otter in their Zoom meetings, be prepared to see that like we did 15 minutes ago.
and I'm assuming, Brad, Otter is your go-to tool.
Yeah, I think I've looked at Fireflies and Fathom and maybe one other one. I like Otter. I'm not against any of them, but I like Otter.
Do you have a paid version of Otter? Is it a free version?
I have the paid version for that. I have a lot of Zoom meetings in a month.
Right.
I think you can get a lot of features on the free version. I just have many regular daily meetings that I regularly pull PDFs from and interact with. The people on the meeting request it and say, oh, can you send that to me? So I want it, and the people that I'm talking to know it's there and they get it as well. I think it's a really strong product.
Does it give you the coaching? You're not saying that just because they're here, are you?
Hoping for that discount code. Hashtag discount.
Do you did they have a coaching element? Do you ever use the coaching part of it?
I've looked at the Zoom coaching element of it, where it tells you how much you're talking as a ratio, etc.
Right.
That's a good question. Maybe I'll go back and look at one right now from
It
yesterday.
might be right because I think Simon Severino said, if you're selling, I don't know if it was just selling, but if you want to engage a person business development, you should only be speaking 28.8 of percent of the time. And if you're interrupting or talking, I think it helps you catch some of your habits. And that's what I use read.ai to do. And
Okay.
so it does do a good job at that. And I'm not sure. Look, I've never tried Otter. Fathom, I know, is something that some of our people use,
And
but
Fireflies. And
it's
Fireflies.
right. Yep, exactly. So I think it is interesting how all of these new tools and just integration. Let's see, LinkedIn. I'm having an issue with LinkedIn here in the US. You may want to try to share the show. I'm gonna put it in the chat for you.
Sure. Yeah.
And now let me show some of the notebook stuff because you told me something this morning that I hadn't messed with yet. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. Notebook is on my list to dig into more. So let's do this. So I'm going to create a notebook. And Notebook, as many of you know, if you've participated before, it's a Google product. It's great to create audios of articles you may have written, posts you may have written, podcasts. There's many applications for the audio version, but then just managing files and information, and when you're going on projects. Brad, I know you were recently the Metal Focus guy and you used Notebook to manage a lot of the data. How did that end up going? Did you have any new learnings from that you may want to share before I start?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the viewing audience, I had about 50 meetings with members from our community in a span of 2 weeks for a process that helps any specific member focus on their business opportunities. So having 50 30-minute meetings meant it was a lot of information and almost too much to process at once. So I used my Otter recorder. So I made sure that the Otter was in every meeting. At the end of it, I made a PDF, which is like a one-click. You just download as PDF, very easy to do. And in reviewing all the meetings, here's what I found. I made a project folder on ChatGPT. I gave it context. I said, here's this process. Here's what I want from it. A more clear understanding of what I'm doing this quarter or this year in business. I said, I've got a bunch of these interviews, and I want the best summary and the takeaways and action items. So when someone says, email me next week, it's in the bottom, which is great. David, I used your technique. About 10 of the 50 in, I thought, David's got a technique. I went to LinkedIn. I grabbed a PDF of each guy's profile, and I put that in the chat window with the transcript. So I said, here's their LinkedIn, here's the transcript. So when someone says like, hey, here's what I do, the LinkedIn PDF gave context of who they are and what they do. And the results were great. By the end of it, I asked for a summary. So if you have any series of meetings, sales meetings, or project meetings, you can put one by one all those PDFs in. And one by one, I mean, have a chat and say, what happened in this meeting? And then have a second chat and a third chat. And at the end, say, summarize that for me, summarize all of the meetings. It was really strong, really strong.
I love that. So just to be clear, you took the files from Otter.
Yeah.
You put them in here. I met with John Smith. Here's his LinkedIn profile. Here's the transcript for the meeting. The next, I met with Joe Smith. Here's transcript, and then it put it all together.
Yeah.
I guess you could probably even from there dig in deeper. Let's have a 3 to 6 month plan. Here are my
Oh, it did that. It did that. It said, here are your immediate action steps. Here are your 10-day action steps. Here are your 2-week action steps. It was great. I also use Notebook LM for it. And I use Notebook LM because it has a bigger bookshelf. And the output of that was a mind map. So the mind map is one of the newer features in Notebook LM. When you have a bunch of documents, you can push the mind map button and it creates a clickable, extendable visualization. So here's the center dot with your topic. It branches out into 3 or 4 or 5 topics. If you were in a kitchen and you said, here's my menu, it would say like vegetarian and meat. And then you click the meat and it would say, sandwich or hot dish. And you could click hot dish, it would say beef or fish or chicken or pork. And then you could click beef, and like that's the kind of branching it can do. It does it without you having to tell Notebook how to categorize it. It does it on its own.
So you put all 50 in one notebook, correct?
All 50 in one notebook. That's the benefit of Notebook LM, is it has a 300 item bookshelf, where Claude and ChatGPT have a 20 item bookshelf, and Claude gets choked up real quick. Notebook LM was the biggest library, 300 spots.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to start using that for sure. All right. So now describe what you'd like to learn about, or click I'm feeling curious.
Let's do something interesting, David. Let's say MCP. It's this new protocol for AI that we're going to learn about from Brooks on Monday. Maybe MCP AI Protocol, so it doesn't give you God knows what MCP. I'm just thinking that's something quite new. Oh, look at this.
Got it.
So like it did its research for you.
So the sources, it's basically pulling sources. Okay, great. So I'm going to import all these, right? I don't know.
I guess you could check if you did or didn't want one. It looks like on the right-hand side.
No, for sure. But am I getting, I don't know if I'm in due diligence, but let's put it in.
Because in Notebook LM, you can delete it later, or you can be selective about which parts you include.
All right, so let's, okay, and now I'm going to say,
oh, wow. Okay.
So sticking them all in, and now I'm going to say, okay.
And you could probably do that again if you wanted, right? You could probably do that again for a different topic.
Right, but maybe now I'm going to, Okay,
So
so
you
now,
could go right to the mind map.
right. But I was going to maybe tell it what I wanted to do with all this information. Do I want to create? Yeah, so mind map we could do, but after that, we may want to say, "Hey, we're having an expert on this. Come on your brain juice show on Monday.
Yeah.
What questions can we ask him, and how can we use it? How would we leverage this for our business?" So to that effect.
Well, let me cut and paste that from Otter. I'll put it in the chat and you can paste that right in.
Okay, perfect. I like ease of use. And we will do the just for everybody, we will do the gamma. Oh, by the way, I did have the gamma update meeting yesterday too, Brad. I forgot to tell you. Changing their look and feel, lots of new things happening with that, with gamma. So that's exciting times. We'll make sure to keep all the viewers updated on.
So there's that in the chat. That's from our Otter transcript. You can cut and paste that in. I just want to show people how I use these tools because
Right.
lots of people seem to get excitement from learning. You can just that easily quote someone from the meeting because sometimes they word it so well the first time and the second time it's not as natural.
Right. So let's see.
And then in the meantime, maybe oh, there's the answer. There's no meantime.
Right. Okay, excellent.
Can you show the audience what the mind map looks like?
Absolutely. So the mind map. So now let's go to mind map.
It was on the right-hand side. It was already there.
Oh, right. No, I already. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it twice. We'll just use this. Okay,
So
so
look
now,
at this.
right. So this is great. I mean, I think even for the meetings, right? So model context protocol, MCP. Let's see what the core concept is.
See, now when you click any of those, the document comes alive there
And I can click over here.
and read about it. Like it generated that text for you, and the little numbers tell you where to find it in the source information.
Addressing the problem of fragmented integration. So I think this is great for like APIs and just having systems run together.
Exactly. So this is the bridge between softwares.
Right.
This is like a new language that the AI softwares speak that easily connect different companies.
Right. But so one question I'll ask, we don't have to go too deep down this road, is security concerns, right? A lot of issues now with hybrid cloud and integration of cloud different disparate systems that are creating a lot of backdoors and different things. We're certainly top of mind for us at WITI, digging in deep to those, because for any of you looking to grow your career, security now, there's so many opportunities opening. There's just brand new things happening where people don't know. So whether you want to move up in your company, go to a different company, you don't have a company, you're in school, just so many. It's just a blank canvas out there, I think.
Yeah, and security is such a hot button topic that as a non-security expert, I almost don't want to comment on it at all. I don't want someone to come back and say, Brad, you recommended this. I go, look, I don't want to recommend it at all, other than to recommend if you think you need a security expert, go hire a security expert.
Well, and learn, right? A lot of
and learn.
security. We had a great security session 2 weeks ago, and the woman who runs security for a huge multi-billion dollar insurance company, she says, sometimes I don't want people that come from cybersecurity. I want people that are domain experts in whatever industry they worked in. And that way I can teach them the security part, and it's evolving so much. They don't necessarily want people to come in. So anyway, so this is great. Just for those of you with notebook, now what I normally do is go into Gemini. Here, I'll just do this real quick, and then we go to use. Let's go to Gemini.
I think when you get results in Notebook LM, you can sort of send them to your Google ecosystem.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, here. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's okay. So let me just say, hi. I'm creating a podcast with Notebook LM about MCP. I'd like it to be less than 10 minutes and speaking to a third grader, right? But it is, please give me a prompt for notebook LM. And as you see, I don't need to spell things correctly or use proper grammar because it does it for me. Okay, right. So now, and I think prompts for everything. If you run a prompt, go in, ask the different models what to use. Okay, please help me by blah, 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 blah. So great. Let's see. So let's see. Tell me. Okay, so here's the prompt. So let me just pop this into Notebook.
So you use Gemini for the best way to talk to Notebook.
Yes, for nothing more than like they're both owned by Google. I figure that'll give me the best info and we'll know how the system would work, right? So I put
That's real smart, David.
right, so boom, and then this other stuff I could.
So you don't even have to be a prompt engineer. You just have to remember that Gemini is your prompt engineer.
Right.
You say, hey, you're the prompt engineer. Here's my goal. What's the prompt? And then you put that into the notebook. That's really clever. I think too many times we get so busy, myself included, that we forget that these tools are there to fill those gaps.
Exactly. All this extra text it gave me, I'm just putting in.
And you're making that like a source now.
Yeah, like a source to pull from. I don't know if, I mean, I could add this as a prompt too, but it's too much. So
is it too big?
Yeah, too big. I mean, I could chop it in half, but I think it gave me the specific prompts. I'm going to trust it. I'm going to go to generate. This will take a minute.
Are you going to do an audio?
Yeah, I'll have an audio ready. We can play a little clip of it, but do you want to go into the new graphic things with ChatGPT before we move on? I mean, while this is loading, perfect.
Yeah, no, I've got that queued up here.
Because that's really cool this week. So much.
But before we go, because we're still talking Gemini, Google, and Notebook, Gemini Canvas is here. I've been so busy, David, in the last 2 weeks. There's like 5 things I haven't got to try. Manus being one of them, but Gemini Canvas. So Canvas mode, if people have seen this in ChatGPT, is instead of the language model software just continuously giving you a whole new essay, a whole new essay, a whole new essay, you're like, actually, it's Thursday, not Wednesday, and it just erases everything and rewrites it. Canvas mode is like a document that just erases the one word and keeps the rest of it there. And you can do it with code. You can do it with language. So if I click try Canvas, there's a button down here. You can see Canvas mode, create docs and code. So when it's live, I can say, write a 1-page report on baseball 2025, right? Because the baseball season is here. I like to pick easy topics sometimes when I'm showing things I've never seen before. I'm a language model. I can't help you with that. Okay, well, that's too bad. So we'll go Canvas mode and say, write a 1-page report on how to change your car tires back to summer tires. Going to do that. If it can't, we're going to skip over to ChatGPT. Sometimes when you pick that thing that you don't really want, it's tricky. Okay, so here we go. So here's this report switching to summer tires because anybody who's using winter tires should switch to summer tires. So here's this document, right? It doesn't matter what it says. But now I could say safety second or safety third. I can edit it like it's a live text document. That's the cool part. At the top, I can export it to documents. Of course, it should say safety first. I'm just being playful. But if I thought I wanted it to say April 4th, I could make it about tomorrow. If I thought you also needed a flashlight, And then I could say, ask Gemini, fill this out for flashlight and see if it does that. I might have had to be more specific, but we'll see. So the cool thing is with Canvas mode is that you get to see the document change bit by bit, right? I added flashlight. Now there's a flashlight. And once it's finished, you can see the progress wheel spinning here. Once it's finished, if I don't like it, I can click at the top here, previous version. Right? So if you're just like, actually, I liked what it said before, there's previous version and next version. There are tools to explore. Again, I believe this is a free tool. It's Canvas mode in Gemini. It's super cool. What we wanted to get to, though, was create image in ChatGPT. So this is, I believe, free to everybody. In the regular search bar, there is the plus button for connecting your Microsoft Drive, your Google Drive, or uploading files. There's the search button to use the internet. There's the deep research. I've got 10 deep researches until the next 30 days. So you don't get many deep researches. The tools like Canvas mode, so Canvas mode in ChatGPT, just like we saw in Gemini. But now I can create an image, right? So I've never done this before, so I don't know how detailed I need. So create image, a tree where elves make cookies inside. Right? If you were a kid in the 1960s or 70s or 80s or 90s, you might have seen all the television commercials about the elves that made cookies inside a tree. Elves, tree, cookies, right? This mascot right here. So these elves made cookies in a tree. It didn't make sense. I don't know why they made cookies in a tree, but that's what the cookies were. And let's see what it comes up with. So the novelty or the latest about this is the quality of the images are so much stronger. And further, it's got the ability to put text in the images where before the models weren't giving you text or accurate text or changeable text. Now I think it's a quite strong output. David, have you used much of these image creation tools, the new ones?
A little bit. I dug into some of it yesterday. It was actually great because it was, I don't know if I told you, I was on the hot seat at Forge the other night.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so it was, top of mind is I got to put the front page of our website at number one. It's like so much happening behind the scenes, but people can't see it. So anyway, I did a whole thing, gave me a graphical layout. Amazing. And I think they just launched something last night too, some improvements. I want to say I saw that before I went to sleep. When you see these things, you're tired. I'm trying,
Yeah.
I can't
All right.
sleep.
So if I go to Google and I make it within the last 24 hours, OpenAI News. Uh, well,
And are
people
they
talked about
even?
ChatGPT 5, but I thought that was an April Fool's joke, so I didn't read the story.
Oh, that's funny. Right. And are they do they want such stress on the servers? Maybe they just want people to organically find some of these things, get
Yeah.
some reports on bugs and stuff, and then let us use it or let, the public.
Yeah. So one thing I have heard though is that the speed of image creation has been slowed because millions of people are using this tool. I think they said like 1 million people joined inside an hour,
Right. Right.
which is astonishing. So that's not bad. All of a sudden that looks like that would have taken someone maybe days to make with their pen and ink.
Yes.
And then I want to say put the word cookies in the image. I wonder if I can just do that, and then I can drag this image in. I think maybe not. Maybe I'm sort of just guessing out loud here. We'll find out. While that's going though, like if I think Lord of the Rings trailer, Open AI, this is
Make it a little bigger, Brad, will you?
Can you see it like that?
There you go.
Is that better?
Perfect.
So for people, I don't know, I didn't intend to get this guy in the lower corner here, but for people who use OpenAI's new image model, well, people created this in a matter of hours. Like everything you're seeing here, they animated the images using OpenAI. They took the still frames from the trailer for Lord of the Rings and one by one said, make this image, make this image, make this image, and then use it in this style. Like you'd think you're watching a cartoon from the 80s.
Incredible.
It is incredible. And like I haven't played with it, but I've read that you can just prompt it to animate them together. So you say like make 10 images of this, and then you can even just type in stitch these together and animate them, and it does. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know that this video we're watching was made since this tool has been released, and this tool was only released a few days ago. So these are not months of labors from hundreds of people. This was like one person. I think they did it in 9 hours. But like this is astonishing. For anyone who knows animation, this is like literally months of work from like dozens of people. So it's a fictional trailer of a non-existent cartoon movie, but they're showing off the power of this animation. Like while you're watching it, this looks like regular animation from any major studio. The wind on their cloaks, the fireworks, the flaming phoenix, the clapping, the camera movements, the marching, the swords, the arrows, the horses. Like you can hardly believe it.
That's incredible.
It is incredible. So I know I was humorously making a cartoon elf in a tree, but I also knew I was going to lead us to the elves of Lord of the Rings. So I was being playful there. I was saying like, your results might vary, but the higher end of the results looks like a professional animation company that you might be, one day away. And as you'll hear me say, and I'll say again, you don't have to know how to do this. You just need to know it exists, and you could pay someone one day's rate. Whatever you think that daily rate is, you could be one day away. So look at this. Let's check this out. We'll wrap this up with, I said, put the word cookies in the image, and I put the word cookies in the image.
Wow. And
Just
spelled it
Yeah, it
correct.
spelled it correctly, just to show you how easy that is, right? I said a tree where elves make cookies inside, and then put the word cookie in the image. You don't have to be specific. You don't have to use very technical language. Just put it in. So
Oh,
anybody that's making a poster or an image or anything, the key is you can make the home version of it and then give that to a graphic designer and say, this is what I want. Like for the professional graphic designers who'd argue, and I know a very specific person who's a very great point. He says, Brad, you can't get anywhere close to professional quality on these tools. There's no nuance, there's no humanity. They are right, and that is true. But what I can get is I can get you a long way down the pipeline. It's like if I vaguely know what I want, I can show that to someone and say, now make this look like a pro did it. So for anyone who's going to pay, I would use this shortcut to pay less and get it quicker.
totally. Awesome. Couple more things to show. Great, Brad. Thank you. Before I get to the audio, and then we'll do the wrap up with the gamma. What is my Ikigai? I typed in.
Oh yeah, the intersection of what you're good at, what
Have you
people pay
seen
you
this?
for.
Right. So if our listeners type that into ChatGPT, this is such a powerful question. What you love, what are you good at, what your world needs. Now I've trained my model, so really knew kind of where I'm coming from, right? Building community, authentic connections, empowering people, especially women and underrepresented professionals. I don't know if I want to empower all people, but that's all good. Helping others grow professionally and personally, exploring innovation, especially in AI and human potential, right? So you see it here. What am I good at? What the world needs? What can I be paid for? Your Ikigai, right? And now it kind of laid it all out for me. And I said, give me a visual map of it. It created this.
Oh,
And,
hold on. I'm doing this while you're talking. Give
oh,
me
great.
a visual map of this. That's all you said?
But yep, I said, give me a visual. Let's start with a visual version of the map. It's whatever, same difference. And then And I said, thanks. I'd like to post this on LinkedIn and my other social networks, encouraging others to do the same thing. What do you think? That's a beautiful idea. Blah blah blah. Just go down, and then it gave me this, which was pretty cool. Right, the image. And I don't know who Katie Rivera is. Oh, maybe that's a style or something. I don't know. Anyway, right now, I did this last weekend before a lot of these new graphic tools came out, so I could probably even tweak this a little better. And create a post around it. I thought that was pretty cool, right?
That's
And
really cool. Like, so it made that graphic for you?
right, when I said I want to post on social, give me a graphic. And this was pre all these new graphic things that happened this week, right? Because I'd already
Okay.
started the Ikigai thing, and then just when I was out walking the dog, I was talking to I was talking about ChatGPT, and I said, "Hey, why don't we do this?" 'Cause it was just, and then I haven't put it up yet, but I will. For those of you that haven't used Notebook, audio part of it, here's what we did, and now it's created a podcast. We'll play a few minutes of. Let's see what it says.
Welcome back to the
Nice.
deep dive, where we take a bunch of stuff you send us and really, try to get to the bottom of
Yeah,
it.
really kind of unpack things, right?
Exactly. And today it's all about this thing called Anthropic's Model Context Protocol.
MCP.
Yeah, MCP. Right.
Yeah.
You've sent in like a ton of stuff, Reddit threads, a YouTube video, a really in-depth Substat article, even something from the Microsoft Community Hub.
It's a good mix.
It is, right. So our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to figure out what this MCP is, why people are making such a big deal about it, and what it could mean like for the future of AI. Like how will
I mean, this is great, Brad, right? Because I mean, I can listen to this now and just get the whole concept of it because it's gone through. And now while I'm walking the dog or driving somewhere, I could listen to it. And I just think that's so many ways to utilize the audio of Notebook LM. What I've been using it for too is for the people I coach in my job search, in my job, career path, hidden career path programs. I make a notebook, I make a podcast about them so they can remember their greatness and stuff they take, and I make them listen to it at least a few times a week.
Mm.
Then it reinforces, right? Stuff they're great at, like us as humans. Sometimes we don't really see, oh, that's a skill people would pay for. I just do that.
That's powerful to create the person's Ikigai and then make them look at it and listen to it. It's almost like you could create a daily mantra.
Exactly.
Wow, that's interesting. In fact, you could probably even, well, there's a whole set of things you could do there. You could make a daily podcast and say, here's my daily goals, coach me through it.
Excellent idea. Yeah, yes, I've not been doing that. All right, so we're coming to the end of the show. We're over. Now I'm gonna take the I'm gonna take our transcript, pop it in.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Oh,
send
yeah. Right. I love when you do this. This is great.
that chat. Please create a deck. We can drop into Gamma for episode 19 of the latest with David Leighton and Brad Rochefort.
I'm gonna suggest we make a project folder for this so that the context is always there.
I'll pop them in because now you can add. If I forgot to do it like that, you can pop add it to a project. You probably know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's great. So I got to spend time going through all of my. And actually, Sugar Ray Leonard, we have his son, Ray Leonard Jr., speaking on the 23rd, just while that's opening. He's an entrepreneur in the tech space, great guy.
So I'm gonna tease two things for next time. While
Yeah.
we were talking, I got the invite to Manus,
Oh,
the
great.
AI agent.
Oh, excellent.
Like just in the last 6 minutes, I got it. And then I've also come across an article writer that uses a university database of journals and information out of Stanford.
Wow.
Yeah. So for anyone who says, but how do I know the information is good? We saw in Notebook LM that it will draw from the broader web. This one, I think, draws from an education-based system of knowledge. I wonder, David, with ChatGPT's new image creator, if ChatGPT couldn't create a version of it as well.
You're right. Probably.
But I love the workflow. I love that you take the transcript, turn it into a prompt, take the prompt, turn it into a Gamma deck, and take the Gamma deck and turn it into a LinkedIn post all inside 10 minutes. It's such a smart workflow.
Totally, right? So Otter gets a voice. Oh, by the way, the new Gamma look and feel will be coming out on April 15th. So everybody look for that. Maybe we'll even try to get somebody on the show for although they're all West Coasters, they're not getting up this early.
Yeah, I feel like Canva's due for some kind of bump. Miro had a what's new. I watched it yesterday for half an hour. I haven't had a chance to use it, but I know Miro's got new features. There's so much happening in software that for anyone who says they're busy, I would say take the hour or half hour and learn what's new in software because you might save 10 hours a week. Like what
Right.
you're doing here with this transcript into a LinkedIn post is 10 minutes that used to take people 2 hours. So to pause and learn the workflow for half an hour is to save you an hour or more every time you do a major post.
Right. And I think this is just so great for like following up to meet for meetings, giving visual presentations with clients. Um, I've been, as we've been working with our partners at WITI, because it is more of a consultative type relationship we have with our clients. We used to have decks, here's our menu, blah, blah, blah. I really don't do that anymore. Let's create something custom that can really hone in on how we help our partners, our members get to the next level. And that's not here's a deck, choose, options A, B, or C, it's like, how do we hone in so we can add value?
In the next couple of weeks, we have to explore what's new with Claude, what's new with Perplexity, and what's new with Grok, because I feel like our audience might be using these tools. And then people tell me that I never mentioned Llama or Copilot, and that is true.
That's true. And I feel, yeah, I don't either. And Llama's phenomenal. I think it's just one, yeah, there's no excuse for that. Now, Copilot, I don't know. I heard it's been kind of sneaking up behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, now I don't know. Is PowerPoint going to be able to do what a Gamma does, which we'll see right now anytime soon? I'm not I never want to say no.
Yeah. Can you tease anything new that's coming with Gamma, or do we want to wait till the release?
Well, new logo, new look and feel, many more. Here, I'll show you real quick. So here, let's just see, make sure here. I'm going to give it free form, so I'm not going to want to wedge it into just I'll answer that in a sec. I don't want to necessarily control what it's doing. Sometimes I'd take some of these out, but this because these are like it's kind of telling it what to do in slides. So maybe I'll do that. Sometimes I like Gamma to give it free the ability to do what it wants.
Yeah.
Get rid of all these little line breaks.
Yeah.
Right. The prompts that are up on the left that I'll be back to in a sec. Sometimes, I might, depending on the audience, I might go into ChatGPT or Gemini or something. Hey, I'm creating a Gamma deck. It's going to be for this audience. Can you give me a specific prompt for that?
Yeah.
Not doing this now. I'll create some. The images you can choose. They are adding more image models into the next one, like you asked about.
Yeah. I think the key to mention, David, is that when we're demonstrating these tools, there's a tendency to go faster than is true. But when using these tools for a longer project, at least I think it's true for me and probably for you, I go quite slow through them. Like I take my
Right.
time and choose between all the options because the tool goes so fast that if I spend 6 minutes choosing the options, I might get such a better output than to just go, it's fast and hit the button
Yeah,
like it's a slot machine.
for sure, for sure.
Not
Um,
not to say sometimes I don't just hit the button like it's a slot machine and watch the wheel spin.
well, the thing is, you can go back and recreate, and I think once you get your flow in, and that's why I think it's important to save those prompts. You know, that tool that Camille had, that right prompt. I admit I do not use enough because I'm more normally using Firefox, and his thing only works on Chrome.
Um,
But let's generate this. They're gonna have more themes. I think they're adding 12 new themes
for
coming up.
Gamma.
Gamma, yeah.
So fresh look, better way to choose your image model.
Right,
Hmm.
right. New they'll have a new logo coming out that's pretty cool, and how it animates, and yeah, they did a really great job with that. So hats off to Hillary and Grant and the other people on the team.
There was a time where Gamma was competing with 3 or 4 other slide deck makers just to be known about. I feel like there was Tome, there was a couple other ones that seemed to be on par, but now I feel like Gamma has made a name for itself.
Without a doubt, Beautiful.ai was one, I think, back then, Brad. We used to look
Yep.
at
Yep.
pitch.com or pitch.ai. But, with this, and not that those haven't caught up, but if you find something that works, you use it. That
Yeah.
said, when we were at CES and a couple days I had my Gamma hoodie on, maybe one person looked at, oh, that's Gamma. Oh, look at
Yeah.
this. Look at this.
That's funny.
Is that cool?
Yeah. Right. We talked about the elf tree where it makes cookies and it has the word cookies.
Right. So it's really pulling for the content to create graphics. I'm going for it. I'm going to share, I'm going to say export LinkedIn. Um, we'll fix that when I go back to it. So I'm just going to say post on LinkedIn.
Yeah, because you have to do all your ats and tags in the
Exactly.
platform.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why that's one of the, yeah, I don't want to call it a fail. 'Cause I don't know that the API with LinkedIn, right? It always comes up with this cannot display, content can't be displayed.
Right.
But then I could just click on the logo. This is the stream that you posted. So I'm just gonna go to my account. And now I should see it right here. There it is. Now I can edit the post. And now I'm going to do at David Leighton. Make sure you go to the second name, and that way it won't put in double last names. Brad Rochefort. Boom. I'll put episode 19.
I heard, David, that most podcasts don't cross the 19 episode line. So hooray for us.
Right? We're there.
It was a really significant number. I know people say most stats are made up, but there's some truth into the range. And it was like a vast majority of podcasts don't make episode 19. And if you make episode 19, it's likely that it continues. So looking forward to more of the latest because it's such a great exercise, I find for me, to be here with you on Thursday mornings live on YouTube and find what is the latest and remind myself of how much there is to use that saves time during the week, including this thing you're showing us right now once again.
Right. I think, tagging in some people that I know are listeners to it.
Because those people watch, those people say to me in the 7 days that follow their podcast, they say, hey, Brad, you showed me that on the latest. And I'm always flattered. I'm like, wow, people are watching. This is great.
right? I think Jeff Sheehan mentioned it the other day, so we give him some love. Anyone else? Let's here we can't forget your co-creator Alan Smithson for Brain Juice, even though he's not still won't be my friend. No, I'm just kidding. And right, because I think his LinkedIn's full or something.
Yeah,
Or
he literally has a full LinkedIn.
he's got to clear out some of that crapola. So,
Yeah, yeah.
right. Look, you have to have the win-win people that want win-win. Sometimes you get the people there that are only interested in them and aren't going to support Alan and Unlimited Awesome and all the amazing things him and Julie are doing.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Julie, let's put her in here.
Yeah.
Um,
If you saw Alan use the latest AI software to make his presentation, he used the latest HeyGen avatar, and it
oh,
looked outstanding. If you like, I have not had a purpose for the HeyGen avatar lately, but the latest HeyGen avatar is excellent.
put in two Ians here. Um,
Yeah. Put Ian Donahue in there. Yeah.
Anyone else? Here, let's put in the metal focus guy.
Put in Kurt.
Yep, exactly. I had a good talk with Kurt yesterday. I just put on my, all right, so whatever. Oh, and then let's do at Witty India. Oops. Right, so I can, oh, here, and then the companies we mentioned, Gamma, right? Because these are the companies we mentioned during the show. We mentioned Anthropic. We mentioned Open AI.
Yeah. We mentioned Google.
Mentioned Google. We mentioned wasn't there one more? All right, whatever.
Manus.
Man,
Manus AI. MANUS.
there it is.
Yeah.
Bing. You know, you can always go in and edit, add people in. I think that's a good way to keep your streams alive. I was just showing somebody yesterday, which I'll just show it here real quick, so I think you'll be interested. Just when I was looking at my impressions, and last week I just had one of my posts blow up, right? And so this was up to like 6,300 impressions over the 7 days. That was just huge over other ones,
Wow.
right? So then, when you go in, you can see people that reacted to it. You could edit it and tag in other people, right? So I could go in. I don't know if you know the story. You're a little younger than me about Philippe and just how he, was one of the pioneers of the software industry and invented the camera phone when his daughter was born. Right. So now I
It's a
can
really
just
sweet story.
right. Yeah. And just that was after he'd already had three major companies that he bought and sold. Right. So I could just go in, add you and Camille. Oops, Camille, boom. So then that just will keep it elevated. And this Stefan guy did a amazing piece about it. And then some of my old clients, Joanne, Greg is new to metal. Anyway, pretty cool. I think we went over. We're almost at an
Yeah.
hour. That is the latest. Brad, great to be back.
Yeah.
Um, I love it. I want to see your itchy guy. I think I know what it is, but sometimes it'll give you some new insights.
Yep. I did one while we were talking. We can talk about it. Thanks
Sweet.
everybody for watching. Love being here. I hope to see you guys next week. Thank you.
All right, bye.